Hello, thank you all for coming. Happy Labor Day. My name is Bridget Browning. I'm the president of Unite Here Local 30. We represent more than 5,000 workers who are not working right now because of the pandemic. And unfortunately, there's companies like the Sheraton, the Marriott Marquis, and the Manchester Grand Hyatt who have used this pandemic to get rid of long-term employees who have dedicated their life to these hotels. They threw them away as if they had no value at all when they have spent their entire career servicing our guests who come to this city. And I can tell you that guests don't just come because they like the architecture of a hotel. They come because they receive quality service. And each one of these members has given their life and dedicated themselves to quality service, and they did not deserve to be treated like this. Unfortunately, we believe there's an economic incentive for the hotels to get rid of long-term employees who typically make more money than newly hired employees. And this is not the time for hotel companies who get millions of dollars from the city through the tourism marketing district to treat the citizens of our county. They deserve the right to know that when the pandemic is over and the business comes back to the hotels, they will be able to get their jobs back. It's the right thing to do, and we urge the hotels to do the right thing by these long-term employees. Tomorrow, the City Council will be voting on an ordinance to obligate these hotels to do the right thing and to make sure that the workers get their jobs back when the economy comes back. We are so proud of the council folks who are here with us today that are supporting our members. And I would like to let you hear from some of the workers who have been fired, many of them with more than 40 years of service. 40. They have not had other jobs besides these jobs. And so we're going to start with Marco Novato. He's a worker here from the Sheraton. He's a chef de partie. He worked in the kitchen for more than 40 years. Marco?
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Marco Navarro. I am originally from Tijuana, Mexico. I am currently living in Imperial Beach. I work at the Sheraton, at Chef de Party, for 43 years. I work at the Sheraton, San Diego. I started in 1979 when I was 23 years old. I am 63 now. I spend more time in this place than I was with my family. I want to retire from the Sheraton. I always good in the Sheraton. That's why the reason I never considered leaving. I turned down better jobs and pay to stay here. This is how much I love this job. I feel like this is my family. My son also worked here. It's the same thing has happened to him. He was permanently laid off. I feel horrible. It isn't fair that people with years experience lost their job, and the people who have been here just a few months keep their jobs. Over the years, I was a good worker. I was flexible with my schedule. I worked days, nights, and training every young person in the kitchen. The day of July 8, 2020, the person who was in charge of the kitchen called me. This person has worked at the Sheraton for just a few months. He says, I'm sorry to inform you that was terminated. After 43 years, this is a phone call I received. I was upset. He don't know me. How can I say sorry? I was in shock. They give me 14 days to return my uniform and my equipment. No respect. This happened to all my co-workers as well. Shame on, Sheraton. I also, my endurance, I lost my endurance, and I have to take medicine every day. If you COVID-19 don't kill us, Sheraton will. Sheraton San Diego has to do the right thing and bring the workers back. Myself, my son, and my co-workers. Do the right thing, Sheraton. Thank you.
Okay, and next up we have Michelle Zacopico, who is also more than 40 years here at the Sheraton.
Good morning. I'm Michelle Zacapico. I'm 59 years old, and for 40 years, I have been a banquet server for Sheraton San Diego. I started working here when I was 19. I have stayed for all these years because I love my job. Every day is different, and you meet people from everywhere in the world. My coworkers are like family. We help each other, we support each other. However, we can, both on the job and off the job. But make no mistake, the work is hard. Over the course of my career, I have served hundreds of thousands of people at banquets. It's lots of bending, stooping, it's carrying heavy trays to serve and clear 8, 10 place settings at a time. It's pushing heavy carts across carpets and lawns, sometimes as far as a half mile between hotel towers. And the physical labor takes its toll. 5 years ago, they found arthritis and carpal tunnel in both my hands. After I finished rehab for that, I had surgery on both my wrists. They cut the bone out of my thumb and replaced it with tendons out of my arm. As soon as the doctors let me, I got back on my job. My first day back was one of the happiest days of my life. Then, about 3.5 years ago, I started having knee trouble, but I wanted to stay on the job, so I worked through the pain for years. But now it's clear that I need to have both knees replaced. I have arthritis in both knees, and I have a torn meniscus and Baker cysts. These injuries are from 40 years of serving banquets. I decided to pay for my surgery and recovery rather than filing for workman's comp because I was afraid I would get blacklisted for being injured. Then in July, I received a phone call from Sarah from HR. At first, she used a perky voice, upbeat and happy. And then suddenly her voice changed and it wasn't good. She told me because of the pandemic she was sorry, but they had to let people go. I asked her how did they choose, who they were going to fire, and she said she didn't know. It wasn't performance because just last year in September and November I was nominated for Employee of the Month. It wasn't experience because after 40 years I am one of the longest serving members of the team. So why did they choose to fire me? Because I am injured? Because I am older? Because I am a woman? Because they wanted to keep their friends? I don't know. But what I do know is there should be a law that protects local workers during a pandemic. They should have to do the right thing. There's a lot of us dedicated a lot of years. It's a pandemic. We need our health care. It's very important to us all. Health care for us and our families. If you have to let people go, do the right thing. Do it by seniority. Start at the bottom and work to the top. Sheraton does that. So I say shame on Sheraton. Thank you.
And next up, we have Inez Garcia, also from the Sheraton. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Hi, good morning. My name is Inez Garcia, and I have spent 31 years of my life working for the Sheraton San Diego. I have two grown daughters, Thelma, Susana, and my son Luis. And also, I have three grandchildren, Alfonso, who is 11, Samantha, 7, and Andrew, 6. Again? Okay. The first time? Okay. Okay. And also I have three grandchildren, Alfonso, who is 11, Samantha, who is 7, and Andrew is 6 years old. Our whole family lives together and we support each other. My first thought when Sheraton fired me was what will happen to my family. I was 23 years old when I started in the industry. I started in housekeeping, which was some of the hardest work I ever done before. A year later, I went to work in the employees' cafeteria, where I worked in the nights
I remember this because soon as after, I get pregnant with my son Luis. As you hear from Marco early, I can remember Marco bring me a plate from a banquet kitchen a couple times of dinner. With other coworkers, if there was something extra, could do each other and if there was something extra could do for each another, we would do it. Then for many years, I worked in a room service. I spent my time taking care of the guests. I working, I worked to make their bad days a good and their good days better. Then in July early one morning, I get a text from one of the girls for Club Lounge, and she said, Inesita, they fired my mom. Then another text, they fired me. Then I get a call from the Sheraton, a 949 number. I never called them back because I knew they were calling me to fire me. I was angry and I was disappointed, and I didn't want them to hear me cry. A little over a week later, I received a letter. They say because of the coronavirus, they were firing me. Just like that, easy for them just to fire us. When KSL bought this Sheraton last year, we had to fight to keep our jobs. We went to the Port of San Diego, and then since taxpayer on the land, they told KSL they couldn't get rid of us. Now the pandemic is a perfect time for Sheraton and KSL. They can do what they weren't able to do before. Get rid of whomever they want. They want. No matter how long they be working here, they be working there, or how well they do their jobs. They fire me and keep one lady who have less than a year. They keep another person who just a few years experience. The workers they keep are really close to the management team. They have lunch together. They are the favorites. Management didn't say how they decide. We understand the situation, but the way they do it was totally disrespectful for us. Because we put all our heart in the hotel, we gave everything we had. And we thought the company would respect us, but no respect. They fire whoever they want and they keep the favorites. We are here today to fight back. Shame on Sheraton.
And next up, we have Orfa Ortiz, who is a server from the Marriott Marquis.
Good morning. My name is Orfa Ortiz, and for 12 years I was a banquet server at the Marquis Marriott. I started working in hospitality when I was 22 years old. Working in banquets enabled me to have the flexibility I needed to take care of my family. I could work at breakfast, come home, take care of my kids, and then go back again and work at dinner. I am a single mom. I need that flexibility to be able to take care of my two sons. My son Darius is 17, and my son Isaac is 5 years old. Isaac has Down syndrome, and he needs extra care. Darius is a football player, and Isaac loves to dance. I love my kids, and I will do anything for them. I just want to be able to work and support them. One night last month at 8:30 p.m., I got a call from Juan, my manager. He said, there is no business, so after October 30th, you no longer work for Marriott. He gave me no other explanation. He won't tell me how they choose who they terminated and who got to keep their jobs. After 12 years, he told me that if I wanted my job back, I will just have to come back at some point and reapply. All I could think about were my sons. I was upset and I was angry. The Marriott management had picked who was going to stay and who will go. I knew that if they won't tell me who they laid people off, I could figure it out by talking to my coworkers. Since we are a big banquet family, we share information. We help each other. We care for each other. When I talked to my friends, I found out many of the people they kept had less experience and less seniority than me. In banquets, there is a lot of room to pay favoritism. Managers can give more shifts and better hours to the workers who they like and are friends with. At Marriott, a few years ago, we fought hard to change the system so that shifts were given out based on seniority, not who the managers liked the best. When you do it by seniority, it is fair. Now they were telling me that my seniority didn't matter. It didn't matter that I had worked there for more than a decade and worked early mornings and late nights and weekends. It didn't matter that I had missed various football games and nice school events to serve lunches and dinners for Marriott. They didn't care. They kept people who had been there less time just because they could. They used the pandemic to fire me and keep less experienced workers. That's not right. The same thing happened here at Sheraton, and the same thing is going to happen at Hyatt and Westin and Hilton and other big corporate hotels unless we do something about it. During a pandemic, workers deserve protection. We deserve to be able to keep our jobs and to come back to work when the industry recovers. We need to pass a law that makes things fair so that these companies don't use the pandemic to do whatever they want. I am here today to support my brothers and sisters at Sheraton and all other workers who just want to come back to work. Shame on Sheraton. Shame on Marriott. Thank you.
Okay. And now we have Ivan Calderon from the Manchester Hyatt. Sorry, also from the Marriott Marquis.
Good morning. My name is Ivan Calderon, and I am a banquet server and who was recently fired by the Marriott Marquis. I'm here today to stand with my brothers and sisters from the Sheraton San Diego. I'm also here to tell you that these big hotel chains are using the pandemic to fire workers, even if it costs them little to nothing to keep us. It's a big industry, but a small world. And what is happening here at the Sheraton is happening at other San Diego hotels too. It happened to me at the Marriott Marquis. I come from a hospitality family. I started in the industry 11 years ago after being recruited by my brother-in-law. My mother-in-law, my wife, and my sister-in-law are all hospitality workers. I am the proud father of a daughter. Giselle is 10, Aria is 7 months, and my wife is due to birth to our third on February. One thing that I have always tried to teach my daughters is how important it is to treat people with kindness and respect. Aria, my 7-month-old, does that without even trying. She is all kindness and love. And that is what hospitality work is all about too. When you work banquets, the goal is always to bring that to the guests, to show them love, to take care of them, to welcome them to our city. I will wake up at 4 a.m. to work at breakfast and go home until 3 a.m. in the morning after finishing up a dinner. I work hard because it's work that I love and because it enables me to put food on the table for my kids. Today, you've heard Sheraton workers tell you that their core workers are like family, and that's true. Let me tell you what family is, to be exactly that. When the industry is at its best, that is what it is. It is an industry with a good heart. So many times, Marriott management told me that we are family. So when my friends who work at other hotels text me to tell me that they were getting fired, I told them, I'm not even worried about the Marriott. We're family, man. They treat us like family. I will bet my left arm that they will keep us. Then, Marriott called me and told me that they were firing me. After 6 years working there, hustling and being on call whenever they needed me, I couldn't believe it. I asked them how they chose who they would keep and who would they fire. They said, we can't go into detail, which led me to believe they just picked their own people. As banquet workers, if we're not working, we don't get paid. It wouldn't have costed a single penny to keep us. When they fired me, I was angry, I was frustrated. My friend texted me again, how is your family treating you now? Marriott management didn't treat me like family. They used the pandemic to fire me and so many other workers. They didn't have to do that. You know why? Because this is not happening at the convention center. It's not happening to my wife at the Hilton Bayfront, just next door. Why? Because they have the right to be called back to work in their union contracts. During the pandemic, San Diego hotel workers deserve to be protected. When business comes back to the hotels, we deserve to be called back to work. We deserve our jobs back. We want to work. We need to stop these big hotel companies from firing us for no reason and using the pandemic as an excuse. Shame on the Sheraton, shame on Marriott. It's time to do something. It's time to pass a law to protect San Diego workers during the pandemic, because all hotel workers deserve fairness and respect. Thank you.
And finally, we have two fierce champions from the City Council who are helping us to pass our ordinance tomorrow. We are internally indebted to both of you for all the work you've put into this. We would first like to call up Council President Georgette Gomez, followed by Councilwoman Monica Montgomery. Thank you both so much.
That's good. Thank you. Good morning, buenos dias, and happy Labor Day. And I just want to acknowledge Marcos, Michelle, Ines, Orfa, and Ivan. And there's got to be a correction. We are elected to do the right thing for our community members. And that's the job that we have as council members, as the council president. And that's what we are, in fact, doing tomorrow. We heard you, Ivan, Orfa, Ines, Michelle, Marcos. And it is time the government steps up, because corporations like Sheraton and every other corporation that continues to abuse workers, that continues to abuse the power of creating more resources but not take care of workers. This is the time as we are going through a crisis, a health crisis, an economic crisis. This is the time that we step up as our best self. Corporations also have to step up to do the right thing. And yes, we get it. We understand that we're all going through difficult times, and that corporations like Sheraton, you might need to do reductions and adjustments, but this is not the way to treat workers. You honor the workers. You call them back when the time is correct. And this is what they're asking, to honor them. They give themselves to ensure that the corporations like Sheraton are succeeding. We need to ensure that we're taking care of our workers. So in fact, the City Council is going to step in and ensure that we do the very thing that we're asking Sheraton and every other organization and businesses to protect the workers. So with that, I want to acknowledge, being that it is Labor Day, and I'm trying to pull up my thing here. I want to acknowledge that it is Labor Day, and today we honor all the work that organized labor, has been doing for decades in advancing protections of workers. And it is unfortunate that here we are, yet having to continue fighting for workers' rights, having to ensure that the folks that share their stories, the folks that have spent over 40 years of their lives maintaining these corporations, these businesses alive, that they're not stepping up to do the right thing to protect the workers. So tomorrow we're going to introduce an ordinance, and I want to acknowledge my colleague Chris Ward, Councilmember Ward, who took the leadership in bringing this ordinance forward along with the community members. So I want to acknowledge him here. He had to leave for an emergency, because of an emergency, but he has been doing a lot of work. So tomorrow the city council is calling for a special meeting to take up some protections of workers, and one of them is the right to return. We want to make sure that corporations that are in fact operating, not only just operating in public land, which is what we have right here behind us. Let's actually acknowledge that this company right here is on public land. This is when they need to start doing even more to ensure that we're getting ourselves out of this crisis. So tomorrow we're going to introduce a worker protection policies to ensure that workers that have been dedicated their entire life to businesses like the Sheraton, that they have the right to return. So thank you so much to the workers and maintaining such a robust economy in San Diego, one of our biggest economies that we have, which is the tourism industry. We need to ensure that we're also putting those resources and investing them in the people that are maintaining this industry alive. So thank you for everything that you do every single day, and we're gonna make sure that you too are protected.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I want to say that I am honored to be here with all of our speakers who have shared your stories and allowed yourself to be vulnerable about what you are going through at this time. That is not always an easy thing to do. So I want to acknowledge you and say thank you and say happy Labor Day and say thank you for being the backbone of this city, of this county, and for all of our workers. Thank you for being the backbone of this nation. I also want to just thank Chris Ward, Councilmember Chris Ward, for leading on this effort of the recall and retention ordinance that we will be hearing at City Hall tomorrow. I want to thank the Labor Council, Center on Policy Initiatives, and all the organizations and individuals advocating for the recall and retention ordinance. The city must be proactive in engaging, serving, and understanding the needs of historically underserved communities during this critical moment in the entire world's history. Right now in our county, this pandemic is affecting people of color and low-income people the most. If you are Black in this county, you are 4 times more likely to be unemployed and to live in an area that has high COVID-19 case rates. If you are Latinx, you are 4 times more likely than your white counterpart to live in an area that has high COVID-19 cases and to be unemployed. This is what we are in the midst of right now. So we are obligated as city leaders to step up for the workers, for the backbone of our community. It is not something that is a privilege for us to do. It's something that is an obligation. It is the reason why we hold these seats, is to work for the people of our community. And we are right in the middle of a paradigm shift. We have to take advantage of it. We have to hand this government back over to the people. This is a step in the right direction. It is wrong what these corporations are doing. It is wrong what the Sheraton is doing. And it is our time that if you don't want to do the right thing, we have the power to make you do the right thing. And in the end, we will all be better for it. We will all be better for it. It's just the beginning of the things that we can do in our city to make it a vibrant city for all of us, not just a few of us. When we look at these numbers and how the pandemic has affected us, we should be ashamed. We should be ashamed as city leaders that we are in a position where we have perpetuated economic injustice and violence upon people who need us the most. So I'm proud to be a part of this city council, who I believe is a strong city council. I believe this city council is for the people. We are walking in the way of the people. We are allowing the community to lead us in what we're going to do. And in that, I say thank you for being here. Thank you for standing up. Thank you for telling your stories. And we are hopeful that we can be just a part of this movement that you have created. Happy Labor Day, and thank you so much. Let's go get them.